everybody, it's Sam The Lasagna Lady. So today I am going to be introducing to you one of my favorites. It's ground turkey lasagna. So traditional is made with a pasta sauce. It's made with 2 cheeses, but you can mix it up a little bit if you want. If you like more cheese and want to add, that's up to you. So it's made with that, and we've got some Italian herbs that's going to go in there, and we're going to go ahead and get started, everybody. So first, you're going to preheat your oven. You're going to hit the start, keep it at 350. That beep lets me know it's already done. I did it so that we can save some time. And also, we're going to take some olive oil, right? And we're going to go ahead and let that olive oil get hot. You want it to get to a consistency just so that it's enough to make your onions or whatever you're going to grill in here, whatever you're going to do, so that it can sizzle. Okay, so that is the second step that we're going to do. So we're just going to wait for this. But in the meantime, I did cut some onions. It doesn't matter how you cut it. You can do it this way. You can chop them. You can dice them. You can do it any kind of way that you like. Whatever it works best for you. Today we're also going to use some ground turkey. So I have an 85%, but if you want to use a 93%, a 99% of ground turkey, feel free, honey. It's your thing. That's what's up. You do it the way you like it for your family. And this is really good. This is a really, really good recipe to do when your children are doing their homework. This is something that you can do very, very quickly to get it started. So you might see a little bit of smoke here. I have an electric stove, so it's very sensitive. So anytime something gets on it, it kind of does that. So we're just going to let that do that. So while that's getting hot, I'm going to go over to the sink and run the water so that we can go ahead and get our pasta to boil. So you want to do about 6 quarts. If you're going to do an entire box of lasagna, 1 box of lasagna that's store-bought, I like to use fresh pasta, but for the sake of this recipe and a lot of households that possibly use dry pasta, I'm going to do it this way. So you can use 6 quarts, whether you're using half a box or whether you're using the entire box of lasagna. Okay, so once we get to 6 quarts, I have this neat little pot here that's measured on the inside where it tells you when you're at 6 quarts. So that's pretty cool. But if you have one about this size, you want to go about 3/4 if you don't have anything that says 6 quarts in there. So once this gets to about 6 quarts, or once it gets at that, which is also 6 liters, I'm going to put it on the stove and we're going to turn it up on high. Whether you have an electric stove or whether you have a gas stove, you turn it up on high and you just wait for that water to boil, okay? And one of the tricks that I like to do, or one of the things that I like to add, and while this is doing that, remember this is our oil, so it's nice and hot. All right, so we're going to be doing 2 things at once. And I know you guys are multitaskers. I know that. That's why you're watching. You know how to multitask. You know how to do these things. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this down a little bit. And you hear that sizzle. That's the sizzle you want. All right. You hear that sizzle? That's the sizzle of those onions. You want that. You want that nice sizzle. So while that's sizzling, before I put the ground turkey in there, you want to take some salt. I use Himalayan salt. Himalayan salt. I like the way that, I don't know, I just like the way. This is just my preference. And if you have one like this, you can do about 24 turns. I found out that 24 turns, I wasn't counting, but I can kind of see, we're right there at that. And then I use a little bit of olive oil in there. This is just to help the pasta so that it doesn't stick together, okay? All right, so once this gets a little bit brown, just a little bit, doesn't have to be browned all the way. And you hear that smell? It smells so good. It's so salivating, guys. It really, really is. You're going to love this recipe. Okay, so we're going to take your ground turkey. See that here? And we're just going to put it in here. All right? You hear that sizzle? And we're going to let it do what it does, right? You're going to mix that in there. Now, if you don't like onions or if you're allergic to onions, of course, do not use it. I do not advise you to do that. But if you don't like onions, hey, you can use other things in here that you like. You can use bell peppers. You can use tomatoes. You can use whatever you like, something to season that bottom for you, so that it just adds to the flavor of your lasagna. Now, both of these things are going to be, one, we're going to bring that to a boil, and two, we're multitasking. This right here is going to get browned. So we know how to brown, our ground turkey. So we're just going to wait for that to happen. And sometimes to speed up the process, I add a little bit of water in here, just a little cup or a cup or two. And that's just a little secret, you just add it in there. We know that ground turkey makes its own meat or its own water. So, you can add it in there and it speeds it up a little bit. And it actually makes it a little bit more juicier too. So, all right, guys, so welcome back. And remember, we had the ground turkey browning, and right now it's just about there. I'm going to put in a little Italian seasoning. So I am not getting paid or anything to talk about any particular brand. No one's paying me about the pasta. I just need to put that disclaimer out there and those types of things. But this is what I use. I use this Italian seasoning, and then sometimes I just mix my own. If I feel like I want to make my own seasoning, I take some oregano, I take some thyme, I take some, and I can take some fresh things, cut them up, and you can put them in here however you want to do it. But that is what I do to just add a little bit to it. So once you have that, you can turn it off the heat, because at this point it's done, it's ready. Look at that. It's salivate. It smells so amazing. There's an amazing smell. And I'm telling you, if your children are doing their homework, they're probably going to try and speed it up and hurry up, because they're going to be ready to get to the kitchen, honey. So we going to have to work fast. Y'all know this is television. All right. So let me tell you how it's going to go down. So we're waiting on the water to boil. And once you put that pasta in the water, once it boils, you want to do it exactly 17 minutes. I'm not sure what the box says. I found out when I did my studying pasta for a year. I just found out, the best course, the best time, the quickest, and those types of things. Because remember, this is going to bake in the oven. So you don't want to have an overbaked noodle, an over-processed noodle. It's been, the noodle's tired. You got to give it a little rest, guys. Okay, come on. So anyways, once you put it in here and it boils, we get it to that. You want to do it for 17 minutes. Take it out. Okay, use something safe to get it out. But if you can stand and heat the kitchen, put your hands in some cold water and just get them out of there. Or you can use a glove or a safety glove, and then you can put on a plastic glove over it so the heat does not bother you. I am going to show you how to do that today, so I'm so excited that you're here to learn that. So the next time you see me, we'll be ready to put our pasta in the boiling water. Everybody, welcome back. Sam the Lasagna Lady here. So this water is boiling, and I'm going to use a whole box, right? So in some boxes, believe it or not, you can do 2 full pans of lasagna with the entire box. If you decide that you just want to do half of a box, you do 3, 6, 9. It's 9 noodles in there, depending on the size of your pan. So if you're using a longer pan, then you're going to have to account for more lasagna space or more lasagna noodles. And you're just going to have to cut them to the size of the pan and make it work for you and your guest or your family. So I'm going to put these in here. All right. And right now you can probably hear it bubbling and doing what it does. I like to use one of these to just kind of maneuver it around. What you want to do while this is boiling like this, you want to make sure that they're not sticking together, okay? So, you can put a timer on this, for your 17 minutes. I kind of can tell by the eye. I've been doing this for 2.5 decades. Honey, is Sam the Lasagna Lady. I am Sam the Lasagna Lady. So I can kind of tell by the eye when it's ready, when it's al dente and those types of things. Now, for you, for anyone that really likes their lasagnas to be stretched, their noodle to be stretched, or their noodle to be a little bit thin, however you would like to do. If you wanted to sit in the water or to boil for a little bit longer, you can do that. But 17 minutes is perfect, because you're going to drain that and it's going to cook again in the oven. So we don't want to
overdo it, you know, with it. And sometimes, you know how sometimes we overdo things in life, right? Because I refer life to lasagna, right? So you don't have to overdo it, you know. Don't stress about, you know, if you're a little late for work, don't stress about it. Maybe you just missed a car accident, you never know. Just those things, you don't have to over stress about it. These noodles, they don't want to be overstressed. 17 minutes, and they're done. They're ready. They're ready to be layered, and they're gonna dance happy in your lasagna. And you guys are going to thank me later that you got this recipe. That's what's up.
Anyway, so these noodles are ready. So the nice thing about this is I can just drain it this way. I can pour all of this out. I've already made my sauce, right? I've already made my sauce that I'm going to use. So I've already used some of the pasta sauce or some of this pasta water. You know, we want a little bit of that water in your whatever sauce you're going to use. If you're using your favorite sauce, just save a little bit to go in your sauce. It just helps with it. It helps with the flavor. I just like to do it, you know. That's something that I learned how to do. So I'm going to put these gloves on. I borrowed these gloves. I bring them home and I wash them. So these are cutting gloves, but I found out that it keeps your hands warm. And I'm going to put some plastic gloves over this, and then it's going to allow me to just take this right out the pan and put it in here as we layer. So I keep my gloves here. You know, someone had given me these gloves. They blessed me with a box of them. So I'm so glad that I hung on to these because it really helps when you're doing a lot of things, right? I make this seafood lasagna that is to live for. So I can't wait to show you all how to do that, you know, and those types of things. So here we go. So I'm going to start. Right? I'm going to start just putting these here. I'm just going to put this on something flat. If you want, you can take these out and you can put it in a pan. You can put it on aluminum foil. You can put it on something, but you see how they're coming out? They're coming out perfectly done, right? Okay, we're getting it off of that heat and those types of things. And again, you're not going to use like all of these because we're making one pan today, and then we're also going to use 4 noodles to make the lasagna cupcakes a little bit later on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then we're going to begin our layering. So I've already transitioned this into here so that we can use that. We're going to be using some mild cheddar cheese, okay, shredded. And then we're also going to use some mozzarella, yummy, okay. So funny. Now, if you have a lasagna that splits, go ahead and let it split because you can use it possibly in your pan, you know, a little bit later on. Good. So we've got our lasagnas there, we've got our noodles, and we're going to begin now to layer our lasagna. Are we ready? Okay. So I have some tools here that I am going to use. One thing you want to keep handy is a knife, right? You want to keep your knife handy because you might have to cut your lasagna a little bit. If you're using a pan and if you're using a sharp knife, please don't cut too hard because you'll cut through it and then your sauce will eventually, it'll, you know, go through here. So I'm going to use scissors today, okay? It's just really quick and it happens to make things go by fast. So I have my sauce, I have my cheese, I have my ground turkey. We're getting ready to layer, and this is the sauce. So what you want to do, one trick is you just want to paint the bottom of it. Use it as a canvas, okay? You don't want to over sauce the bottom. This is just so that that noodle will not stick to the pan. It will come out easy and those types of things. So it's not going to be difficult. If you want, you can put your initials in there. Whatever you want to do. If you want to paint, I like to have fun with it. Sometimes I do that. So we're going to go ahead and begin to layer. Now you see how in this pan, how this noodle is right here. So I'm going to cut it, right? And once I cut this, I'm just going to put the other part that I cut, I'm going to put it to the side. I'm just going to put it to the side, okay? And we're going to do that with each one because you can use those cut pieces a little bit later on when you think about it, or you can freeze it like I said. You don't have to discard of it. You can use it later on for, like I said, lasagna soups, lasagna this, lasagna that. You know, you name it, you can do it. Now, remember I told you that if you had one that broke off, you know, you can hang on to that because guess what? It goes right in there perfectly. So don't discard it because, you know, it broke, or don't get discouraged about it because it broke. You know, pasta has a mind of its own. So instead of me painting the canvas of this, I'm just going to flip over each lasagna noodle like this. And now it's done. So it's on both sides, you know, etc. I like to keep the meat separate from the sauce, and I'm going to tell you why. No one likes to eat a saucy lasagna unless it's, you know, if you're doing a lasagna soup and things like that, that's fine. But if you're doing a lasagna, all the sauce is going to be on the top. So these are some secrets I'm getting ready to show you, some tricks I'm getting ready to show you. You want to use half of what what you fried or what you grounded up in the pan. So you want to use half of it. So this is about half. I'm going to stop there, okay? And we're going to use our seasoning. So we're going to put a little seasoning in here. All right, and this is again, it's Italian seasoning or whatever you'd like to use for your lasagna. But the unique thing that I have here is I'm going to put some heirloom tomatoes in this. I'm making this for some dear friends. I want to give a shout out to him, but he told me to wait, so I'm going to wait. But I can't wait to do a shout out because they're incredible people. You know, sometimes God puts people in your life like cheese people, you know, or sauce adding to your life and those types of things. And they're such a blessing. And they're such beautiful people. They're such a beautiful couple. So I'm making this for them. So what I'm going to add in there is heirloom tomatoes. So I love heirloom tomatoes. I think that, you know, it's very pretty. I've already cut some up in here, you know, so I'm going to just lay some of those in here. I'm going to layer it on one layer for them. And then on the other layer, we can do something a little different, or we don't have to do that at all. I like to tear these up a little bit and put them in here after cutting them, so you can kind of see. And I just like the way that heirloom performs. I like the way they taste, you know, and I like the size of them too. So I want them, when they bite into this and when they, you know, they can taste each layer of what they are going to be tasting. So I'm excited about that. So remember I said that on the bottom, we're going to put this on the bottom. So you take the entire 2 cups. All right. You can use whatever cheese, whatever mozzarella cheese you like. Whatever you and your family likes, you and your friend likes, you know, it's very easy for you to do, right? And then we're going to take now our second layer, okay? And see, on the second layer, as the pan expands and gets a little bigger, you don't have to cut as much, but you still have to cut, you know, you still have to cut just a little bit, right? Just a little bit, and it's okay that you have to cut a little bit. But if you're using one of the pans that is the bakeware, you know, the glassware, it's perfect for the size of lasagna. So it works perfectly, and you don't have to cut anything. It fits right in the pan. So I think whoever invented lasagna said, you know what, we're going to make this so that when people have a glass, you know, baking dish, they're able to just put it right in there. They don't have to cut it and things like that. So we're going to go ahead and put this one in here as well. And you see how perfectly that fits in there versus the bottom, because the pan goes up a little bit. We're going to cut that. And I'm going to show you a trick. This is going to go in the oven for about 15 minutes, depending on your stove, depending on your oven, depending on how it is. If you're using a commercial stove, if you're using a commercial oven, it's like about 5 to 7 minutes, because all you want is the cheese to melt. So now we're going to take our paintbrush. This is one of our tools. It's a fancy thing. Guys, you know what? You can put it on your hip. You can play it like a guitar. You know what I mean? You can jam a little bit. I'm just saying, that's just me. But anyways, you can paint this on here, paint your canvas. You're just putting a little bit on those noodles. Again, you don't want it to be, very, very, very wet, very runny, and things like that. So you just want everything to cover the noodles. You just want to make sure your noodles, the meat covers the noodles, the cheese covers the noodles. And again, you can go ahead and put some more seasoning on top of there, and it smells amazing, everybody, just so you know. And then here's our shredded cheddar cheese. We're going to put this on the top. And all you want to do is just make sure that it's covered. Now, again, if you love cheese, if you just want more, you can add as much cheese as you want. You can take away as much cheese as you like. You don't have to keep it the way that it is. You can add to it, all right? But this is going to make everything stick together. Now, here's the trick, guys. Here's what I want to show you. So, when you're doing your lasagna, a lot of people put the lasagna noodle on top, and then they put the sauce, and then they put it in the oven. No, 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 no. Take it from Sam the Lasagna Lady. I've been doing it for 2.5 decades, right? So, 2.5 decades I've been doing it. I've tested this. Do not put that noodle on top. Do not put that sauce on top. What you want to do is take some aluminum foil. I have some foil that I've used. I kind of hang on to my aluminum pans, my aluminum foils. I hang on to it like my grandma did. My grandma Bertha hung on to it for her like that. And then you just put it over it, and it's going to what's going to do is going to allow your cheese not to stick, to the aluminum foil, right? And you can actually see when your cheese melts, and that's what you want to see. And then when we're done with this, we're going to top it with the noodle, and we're going to pour that sauce on top, and then your lasagna is done, and they can come on down and eat. All right, guys, Sam the Lasagna Lady, we are going to put this in the oven. You can put it in the middle of the rack, depending on how many you're making. If you're making a lot, rack it the way that it needs to be racked. Okay, so the next time that you see us, that cheese will be melted. We're going to put that pasta noodles on the top with our sauce, and we'll be ready for our lasagna cupcakes. That's what's up.
We made the ground turkey lasagna on today, and it is amazing. So if you're making this for a family of 4, you can actually do this for a family of 6. This is the perfect size for it. You see the sizes in here, but if you got if you're greedy kind of like me, you might need an extra pan just so that, because people like to dig in. So, it's layered with all that goodness. It's layered with love. So if you want to make this for a family of 4, this is good, or family 6, and you can just kind of cut it to however big or small that you want it. And then here's when you plate it. You plate it. I did a lettuce with it, and it's got some of my Alfredo sauce on it. And I tell you, when you cut into it, it's yum, yum good. It is so, so yummy good. Yum. This is so, so good. So good. It's so good. I want to take another bite. Thank you so much for coming into the kitchen with me today to learn how to make ground turkey lasagna. That's what's up. Y'all have a blessed day, and happy holidays to you and your family.